Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here with a Venenatis guide for old school RuneScape. Venenatis is one of my favorite bosses in old school RuneScape because it's very profitable, decent XP, you can get as a Slayer task, and you can lure the boss, so there's just a lot of pros to this boss, and that's why I've done a lot of it. My KC on this account might not be the highest, but if you guys know my channel or anything, I do have a lot of accounts. So I probably have like 3k KC total, couple pets. I really enjoy myself some Venenatis. Shout out to this guy in my chat for being just an absolute vouch for this video as well. Congrats on the D pick as well. What I will say before we get on into it though is this video is probably going to be range based. There is a melee setup, but it's basically just wearing Verak and whatever other armor you want. I'm not going to really show it that much because I definitely don't recommend it, but if that's what you gotta do, it's what you gotta do. And so before we can get on into the lures and whatnot, as far as what you're gonna need for Venenatis, I would recommend 80 plus range if you're going to be bringing a crossbow, which at the moment is only like 8 mil. I say only because you'll make a lot of money here. Like 8 mil isn't that much. So you'll eventually be able to afford it if you don't have one now. It's okay. But if you don't have a crossbow, I'd probably say 85 range is what you should go with the rune crossbow. And then as far as melees, if you are coming here with Verak, which again, wouldn't recommend, but if you are, 85 attack and strength is probably where you'd want to be able to get decently fast kills. And then as far as what you can expect from Venenatis when you go there to kill it, there are about what I would say 5 notable drops. Starting on the top left, we have the Treasonous Ring, which is 1 in 512. Really isn't worth that much, maybe a couple 100k at the moment of recording. Gives a stab bonus, so maybe nice for Iron Man if you need it. Dragon Pickaxe is a 1 in 171 rate, which is really nice. Right now the D pick's about 5 mil, but it's been as high as 7 recently, so you know, very good drop that isn't that rare. The Onyx Bolts are a 1 in 25 drop, and that is a pretty hefty drop. And that's about 500k in Onyx Bolts, and that's only 1 in 25, so that's sick. Elite Clues are 1 in 100, but that can be brought down to 1 in 50 if you bring a Ring of Wealth Eye. And the Spiderling Pet is 1 in 2000. As far as kills per hour, it ranges very heavily depending on gear setup and levels from anywhere near 12 to 30. Really very drastic. Venenatis' defense is high, so if you can get through that, you're good. If you can't, it's gonna be a struggle. GP per hour then, based on the average Venenatis loot, is, you know, anywhere from 1.3 to 3.5 mil an hour, just in what you're netting. That doesn't take into account the cost for supplies, but maybe you could assume a few 100k per hour, depending on the gear setup you're using. And then before we get into the inventory and the gear setup, just a few things before entering the wilderness. I'm sure you probably know how it works. I'm gonna have protect item on at all times. I'd recommend you do the same. I'm also going to be bringing 4 expensive items, and the rest is going to be relatively inexpensive. This is so that I can maximize my output while minimizing my risk, and that's what I would advise you do. If you don't feel safe out there, maybe only bring 3 items. And if you're scared of accidentally being skulled, what you can do is go to your controls and make sure that your player attack options, as I will do right now, is on hidden. That way, nothing will happen to you and you should be safe. Don't attack anyone and you'll be okay. And as a note, there are also Trover parchments in the game now that you can add onto items. If you want to add a Trover parchment to an item, you can do that in this general store on the 2nd floor. Talk to Purdue, pay him some money, and give him your Trover parchment along with an untradeable item that you would not wish to lose. For instance, it could be an Avos Assembler if you're coming here with Vengeance. It could be a Rune Pouch too. Really up to you if you're going to be using any of that stuff. I won't be personally, but it is available. And then now getting into the gear, I normally have a few different setups that go on screen, but Venenatis is super easy to set up with because you only bring a few items that you actually care about, and the rest is basically just your inexpensive kind of best in slot wilderness approach. So it's really up to you. That's the thing. With your risk in the wilderness, it's entirely how much you want to risk. For example, here I'm bringing Guthix D'hide. You could switch that out for Black D'hide and you would save yourself a lot of money if you were to die. However, I don't see myself dying out here. Personally, I've killed maybe about 1 to 1,500 with a new safe spot, and I might have died once. I don't even know if I've died once, honestly. So, in my opinion, very easy to get by safe. As far as the gear setup, though, we have D'hide, the crossbow, which, as I mentioned earlier, you can switch out with a rune crossbow and ruby and diamond bolts. Along with like a Book of Law if you want to do something like that. If you don't have a Necklace of Anguish, you can switch that out for, you know, a Fury, a Glory, whatever you want to do there. And then I have an Avos Assembler that can obviously be downgraded to an Accumulator. Bagagian Boots, so you can switch out with your boots of your liking. And then I have a Ring of Wealth Eye so that I can get more elites when I'm out here, because I think that's pretty valuable. To be able to build up that master clue count. So that's basically it as far as my setup goes. With the crossbow, I normally actually bring a lot of charges, not usually this much. I'd probably recommend like 2k, just because it is really annoying whenever you go out there and then end up running out of charges and have to rebank. Because as I said earlier, I have rarely died out here if I have it all, so I think the extra risk is actually not that bad. But if you're nervous, just bring, 600 charges should be enough for you to do an inventory. Then as far as the inventory itself, I have 2 ranging potions. You can bring divine or regular, it's up to you. A stamina for running there and back, an antidote because you will get poisoned by Venenatis, and also just in case of PKers. You can bring an anti-venom if you'd like, but I've never really found it all that necessary. 8 super restores, 9 Ceradomin brews, just in case of PKers. You really shouldn't be drinking them too much, which is why the divine ranging potions are nice, because you won't have to re-drink them a lot. You should be good. And then a few anglerfish. These I just use mostly against Venenatis, because you will take some damage even on setups and whatnot. So some house teleports to get to Venenatis, a royal seed pod to teleport away. If you don't have that, just switch it out with an amulet of glory or something. A Din's bulwark, because if you throw this on defensive, it is just one of the best tanking items in the game and will be useful for getting away from PKers if necessary. And a looting bag so that I can throw all my loot into it. So, and that's basically it as far as the gear goes. Now, how we're going to get out to Venenatis. Venenatis resides over here, and basically the closest teleport is through the Corp Cave. I'll be getting there through my house and using the jewelry box, but you can just use a Games Necklace teleport if you wish as well, and then just run about 8 wilderness levels to the northeast, and you should be able to make your way there. So since it's 2020, I am playing on RuneLite. Maybe not everyone's doing that, but these plugins are going to be, helpful to be able to get you to learn these lures quicker. The first one is ground markers that I have turned on. That is how I get these little tile markers that I'm flashing over here. Very helpful there. In addition to that, I have boss timers on. This you can't see do anything right now, but it will tell me how long it is going to take for Venenatis to respawn, which is very useful for the harder lure because you're going to have to be alert when he respawns. And then the last plugin is NPC indicators. Use the highlight style of tile, and the NPC to highlight is Venenatis. And that will basically just make an outline under Venenatis so we can see where he's standing, which again is useful for the harder lure. So I am good. I guess beforehand, I'll show you guys what tiles I have marked over here that are going to be useful. I have one to the southeast of this spider web, one to the southwest of that spider web. And then up here, on the furthest little rock tile of all of these, I have that one marked, and obviously 2 steps back of that one as well. The reason I have this one marked is, like this Black Knight right here, you take him out here and he won't attack you anymore. So I always kill Venenatis from over there since I can't get attacked by these guys. Yeah, little example. So as far as how to set them up, for the easier lure, we will start up here. This is the old way of doing it, however, it still works very well. All you want to do is go down and attack Venenatis once, take him up to the bottom part of this Tetris block looking thing. My dog's barking in the background, so I'm trying to, but then we'll take him on over to the first tile. As soon as Venenatis walks over, once he attacks the first time, just walk back 2 steps. So the attack, 2 steps back, he should walk in. Sometimes he doesn't. If he doesn't, just run back out there and he will aggro you again and try again. It's really that simple. You might not get this lure every time, but he's easy to get back into the lure if you're quick about it. So as soon as you sat there in that spot for a second and he's ran up, hey buddy. So as soon as Venenatis had been in that spot for a second, all you did was just run back to there, run south, and now he can't attack you. I'm going to run to the west now, and now if you're on his west side, he won't attack you at all. So I can just shoot him from over here, and I am 100% good. So this is the spot I normally stand in. Throw on your best in slot ranging prayer and just go to town. It's honestly pretty easy. In this spot, you don't have to have your magic prayer up at all times. It's really up to you. Having magic prayers on in the wilderness is sometimes good because if you don't see a teleport block coming in and you have your magic prayer on, it will make it a 2.5 minute TB rather than a 5. So, it might be a good precautionary measure if you don't care that much about prayer potions, but if you're really trying to save money, you can keep it off, I guess. Will it save you money in the long term? I don't know. And there we go, just like that. First Venenatis kill is done. I grab myself a windmill drop and I go to the bank. Oh my god. This is about how easy it is. That's actually like a 1 in 128 drop, I do believe. But, I mean, just a good example, man. So I'm going to go bank. I'll be back and I'll show you guys the other lure. Normally, I'd recommend banking whenever you have over like 500k or maybe a mil if you're kind of crazy. If you're not confident in your anti-PKing abilities, then you can come back with a lower setup. It's really a personal basis. And now we are back out here with the harder lure, but the more rewarding one that is just very nice. The first kill of the setup is very hard because you have to wait for her to align with these 2 tiles over here. After that, she will spawn there, so it'll be a lot easier. So while it may seem hard at first, if you can get it going, you'll be good. Now, as far as what tiles I have marked, this tile is what I have marked. It doesn't matter that it's this tile. Just know that this line in general is where Venenatis will be unaggressive to you if you attack her. So basically, this is useful for if you mess up the lure. This is where you'll be doing the lure. Just run back here and attack her from this tile, and she'll run back and almost set herself up at this spot again. Again, hopefully something you won't have to do much, but it is helpful to be able to reset her up quickly so that you can just, get back on into the kill. So as far as tiles I have marked over here in her side, I have this like little northern tile of the spider web marked right there, and then this little tile as well that's more inside of the web. So I have those 2 tiles marked. That's where she'll spawn, yeah, so good example of how I reset it. Go back to this tile, attack her, and she will run backwards. Now don't keep attacking, just let her run back and you'll be okay. Now, as far as what we want to do, go up to this tile. You'll be standing on here. As soon as she turns, attack her. Now, she moved 1 step to the west as soon as I came in, so it didn't work, but we were in the right timing. Now, this is what I'm saying. This spot isn't easy to set up, but again, once you set it up for the first kill, you're fine. So if you want to go do the easy lure to start off your trips, that's what I did for a while. It's not a bad way to do it. You just get your first kill there, then come over here. Eventually, though, you're probably going to want to learn how to set this up. So she's over there to the east, so I'm going to stand right here. Now, basically what you have to do is attack her 1 tick after she attacks you. And you'll see when she attacks you because she looks your way. She'll either turn your way or she'll focus on you. And you can see it happen. So we have to wait for her to get in line with these tiles. She doesn't have to be right up there. This is just the line that she needs to be in. Now, as soon as she looks at me, I attack, and she should only walk 3 squares, which she did. And there we go. She'll walk 2 more squares up, and at this point, you can run down here. Over here is singles, and this is why this spot is really, really good. Now, the thing is, you have to constantly be praying mage, and in addition to that, you have to constantly be in attack with her, even while you're moving. So you cannot waste any ticks on this run over. So as soon as I attack, I run, attack again, I run, attack again. It's not that hard. You just have to honestly be in a good world. So make sure you're in a good world with good ping. And if for some reason you cannot find any world that has good ping, then you're just going to have to operate at like a 1 tick lag. And that's not as fun, but it's what you're going to have to do. So once you're over here, honestly, it's so easy. It's ridiculous. Especially if you're on a Slayer task, you'll find that you just tear through Venenatis at rapid speeds. The setup is honestly impeccable. It is so easy, and while I understand that these bosses could be lured in almost any way, this one just seems very OP to me. And we can debate, whether you should lure monsters in game, because, everyone loves to debate that, but what I say is that these monsters are just not very well weighted, in my opinion, especially for where the game is now. Maybe when they came out, they would have been decent. A lot of these bosses, they were hoping the rings would hold value. This one hasn't held any value, so while you make a lot of money, if you killed this boss the way it was meant to be killed with a team, it would just be so not worth it that I don't think anyone would be at these bosses. But these are the innovations people come up with for boss killing, I guess, and this is where we are. So honestly, it will suck trying to set up this harder lure for the first little bit. You'll mess up a bunch. Don't get discouraged. I mean, I did. You'll get upset. Just give it a break, come back a little later. And then the setups after your first kill are going to be the easiest. Now, there are times where Venenatis will spawn 1 block off in some direction. If that happens, it's just RNG. It's just kind of the way it goes. There, as you saw, Venenatis turned at me. I attacked, and again, I'll be in a good tick timing. And as soon as I shoot my 4th shot, I'll run down here. That's when you can start running, and boom, I'm in singles again. So honestly, this is what it's all about. It's just really easy, good money, as you saw with that 1 mil drop just a second ago. I mean, one of my favorite bosses for both leveling up a med-level account and, just trying to progress that bank on a med-level account. Because the range XP per hour out here, I don't know exactly where it lies, but, if you can get 30 kills an hour on a boss with 250 HP, that I think also has boosted XP, it's not bad. Yeah, right there, I just got 189 range XP for shooting a 30, and that doesn't add up. So, yeah, maybe like 45k range XP an hour or something. I mean, Not bad, huh? After this kill, we'll talk about how to get away from PKers, and that should about round up this video. It's not too much to talk about. I mean, obviously the lures are a bit to show, but as far as Venenatis, it's pretty consistent and it's a decent amount of fun out here. Now, as far as where you'll be attacked from the most, I would say you'll either get teams that come at you from over here in these trees, or you'll get single PKers that come up here with like D-claws and try to spec you out. So you just got to be wary of both of them. Honestly, I'd rather see a clan because it really doesn't matter that it's a clan. I'm in singles and I have mage prey on, so it's 2.5 minutes until I can teleport out, even if they teleport block me. And with 8 brews, usually 9 brews, and maybe an angler or something, I'm going to be able to make it, especially with the dins and magic protection gear. Just remember whenever you're drinking down with Sarah brews that it does take away from your magic, and here's a good example of why you don't let your mage prey drop here, because Venenatis will start attacking you. Oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ. Like I was saying, if you drink a bunch of Saradomin brews, your magic will go down. Mine's 53 right now. You do want to super restore while you're running away from PKers. I think people forget about that a lot, but their magic hits will really start tearing you if you don't do that. And there we go, finally got the kill. So, doing good, but as far as how I would get away from a PKer, just throw on your dins, and then there are really 2 routes you can go about it. You can just kind of tank them for the 2.5 minutes. I also like to run them around Venenatis and have Venenatis attack both them and me, as it just messes them up. And honestly, if Venenatis is attacking me, that's a good thing because I'll be able to tank 2 minutes of that. So I like doing that a lot. I like messing around with them up at Venenatis. And then if you really, really think you're going to die, just go down to green dragons and start boxing a green dragon. Just run around until you're able to box them, and then, you know, take off your dens, throw on your magic prayer, and go ahead and box. Now, if you really, really want to be safe, you can always bring a super extended anti-fire and just come out here with that, and then you'll be 100% safe boxing these green dragons. You just Sarah brew down so that you don't have any attack levels while making sure you stay in combat with it, because you don't want them to get on the dragon. And so what you're going to want to do when you're in combat with the dragon, really just Saradomin brew down so that you don't end up killing it. You don't have to go all the way down just to a point where you don't think you'll do that well against it. And then just kind of hang out. You should be able to just chill and eventually teleport out. Or if you have the extended anti-fire, you could really just even X-log, if you know what that is. That's just closing your client and coming back, because by the end of that, you should be good as long as you're brewed down enough not to kill this green dragon. So that's how I'd go about escaping PKers, and that's also how I would go about killing Venenatis if I were to do it nowadays. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like. If there's anything you want to see from me in the future, boss guides related or other, let me know in a comment down below. And on top of that, if you want to see more videos like this as soon as they go live, make sure to subscribe. Ooh. And yeah, with that said, hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and peace.